The day out in the sunshine on the beach, of course, you would obviously be in agony.
Yep.
Next day, you'd be to school.
Oh, yeah.
And your friends would just love slapping you on the back.
Yeah, and they go, crispy. And you go, get off. Miss. Shut up, Alderson. Detention.
Because in those days, if you forgot your kit, you just did it in your pants.
Well, sometimes I took in my PE kit and my PE teacher still made me do it in my pants and vest. I never really realised why. It was like, why? And why are we in your lounge? I'm not really sure. This doesn't seem like a PE lesson to me, sir. It's a Sunday.
It's time to adjust those shoulder pads, backcomb what's left of your hair, and jump into the DeLorean for a look back at what's possibly the best decade anyone could ever have grown up in.
Shall we play a game?
This is Bring Back the 80s with your hosts James Alderson and me, Andy Jackson. Welcome back to part 2 of our clothes and fashion podcast on the Bring Back the 80s podcast.
Oi.
So this technically takes us up to, I think, episode number 5 of season 2. We're just flying through these at the moment. If I have made a mistake on the subtitles, that'll come up and say, what are you talking about, Andy?
It will.
You dumb idiot. But,
I don't do the subtitles.
But if you cast your mind back to just a week ago, because we've doubled up on the number of episodes, we are, as you probably guessed from James's attire here, we are talking clothes and fashion of the 80s. Sadly, in the interim, I've not been able to find any photographic evidence of the days that I did have either the curtains for my hairstyle or the shaggy perm, which was a very, very short lasting phase of my life. But it was, I think it was down to the fact that my wife, who was a hairdresser at the time, did actually hate me. But as I say, with no Facebook from the 1980s, no nothing, not even any internet, not even any email, no photographs survive from those days.
That is lucky by the sound of it.
Very lucky.
It sounds horrific. I think I had a side parting, and then it moved into a centre parting, and then I went for a bit of a Billy Booth, sort of trained it to be brushed, go up a bit by 87, 88, 89, and then I had my hair up for probably through the 90s, and then by the time I got to about 93, 94, actually, just grew it long, like some sort of surf dude. Had it long and flowing, and then it all fell out. So I think the answer to this is don't mess with your hair, kids. Don't do anything. Don't do a perm. Don't brush it up. Don't grow it long. Don't
colour it. Don't do none of that stuff.
Of it.
Oh yeah, blonde streaks. That was another. That was another thing that I had. Having a wife as a hairdresser, I think she was just experimenting on me. Yeah. And looking back now, the way our relationship went, maybe when she was in the salon with her friends, they were winding her up to do the worst thing that she could possibly do, and then send me off quite happily to work.
And then it all fell apart, Andy.
Sad times. That is one part of the 80s I would not like to be bringing back. But anyway, there were some good times in the 80s as well, of course, with your body popping days and all the the TV, American TV shows.
Yes,
everybody looked amazingly glamorous, and here in drab old England, we couldn't even come close to dreaming to emulate people like JR. Who the hell are they? Cagney and Lacey.
Oh, look at the clothes. They've got shoulder pads. They've got collars up. I mean, she's got some sort of Cagney, that's Lacey, has got cravat. I mean, Cagney's got a scarf. And it looks like Nan got it for her for Christmas, and they've both got a Diana haircut, of course. But yeah, look at the power in those shoulders. I mean, you're not gonna commit crimes in New York. No. I mean, look, she's wearing a very glossy jacket there. She's obviously gone to the same shop I went to, and I mean, what would go better with guns than collars up, cravats, and shoulder pads?
And hair always immaculate as well. Always immaculate.
Well, if you're going to take down a drug deal, you got to look your best, haven't you?
Every time.
That's my rule. That's why I'm wearing this today. Bless them. Good old Cagney and Lacey, eh?
But as I say, the Dynasty and the other big one, Dallas. That was the one. Yep. They had the big cowboy hats and the boots and everything. Oh, yes. And did we try to ape those fashions in this? Did we even attempt to go down that road?
Cowboy hat?
Or did we?
No. I mean, we had those sun hats. didn't we? That's what I had. And I had those clear visors that you wore when you went to the beach. Do you remember them with the elastic strap on the back of your head?
Yes.
And the clear, and they sometimes had "I've been to Brighton" on the printed on the top of the visor, and they were green or orange just to keep the sun. Luckily, it really worked well because we had bugger all sun cream, so we had to. And what I liked is not like these days where parents go, wear a hat. Our parents said, wear this. It's a clear visor with nothing on the top of your head, so you're going to get sunstroke because the sun's going to bounce off your bonds and burn you to a crisp. But without sun cream and without a proper hat, we had no chance, did we?
I remember as a kid, always, it used to be we lived in London. Our nearest beach, I think, was the one that we always went to, was very middle class, Eastbourne.
Oh, yes.
We would go for a day at Eastbourne, and I remember every single time as a child coming back and being so sunburned that I would be in pain.
Yeah.
And the parents would put me in like a cool bath to try and take some of the pain away. And I just remember this being an expected part of a day out at the beach where you would be completely unprotected apart from the concentrating rays of the clear visor just to make things worse. But you would just expect to be completely burnt to a crisp.
Yeah, proper beetroot lobster. Proper red, and nobody went, oh God, that's child abuse. You know, you see a family now where the kid is burnt and crying, and everyone's looking at them going, those parents are awful.
Rubbish. Yeah.
Now you've got to have a visor, you've got a hat, you've got a factor 700, you've got to be under some sort of parasol in the shade, fully just hydrated, and only out for 3 minutes. Yeah. And then back indoors. Not too much sun.
I was just having another little flashback as well after that day out in the sunshine. Like the day out in the sunshine on the beach, because you would obviously be in agony.
Yep.
Next day you'd be to school.
Oh, yeah.
And your friends would just love slapping you on the back.
Back of the leg.
Yeah.
Back of the back, any of it, yeah. And they go, crispy. And you go, get off. It's miss. Shut up, Alderson. Detention.
Every time.
Oh, wow. I mean, to be honest, if I wore this on the beach, I'd be safe because I'd reflect.
You'd be completely,
rays.
yeah.
I'm like a solar panel. But yes, if people are around me, even when the sun's not out at the minute, if I walk through the street, people get sunburned.
People are going to definitely not lose you there. Also, if you were one of those kids who were, there were always kids floating out to sea on inflatables as well.
Yeah.
And obviously that would be the perfect attire to be, if you're going to float out to sea, then that's going to get you instantly found.
I could probably inflate myself. I'd probably be all right. I think I'd be fine if I put some sort of helium in here.
You'd be like one of those, one of those swimming lessons we had when you had to blow, although you don't remember this, we had to blow up your pyjama legs.
Yes, I don't remember this bit. I do not remember that.
Turn it into a float.
I think that was that your wife again, winding you up. Get in the bath and blow up your pyjamas, Andy, and let me take a photo of your acid perm. The girls at work said it works. Come on, pop in. That's on the divorce papers. He keeps laying in the bath, blowing up his pyjamas. Bless you. Yeah, I'm going to go back home tonight when I get back and wait for the wife to get in from work and report back.
Be in the bath.
Inflated. No, I'm worried actually. If I did inflate this and I actually got pierced on the leg somewhere, that I just shoot around. This is a little bit like a spacesuit, isn't it?
It is
I do feel
like,
a bit. I should have a helmet. People say I am one, but I should wear a helmet, shouldn't I? Because this would really. Are we doing another space? Are we doing a futuristic?
I think we're bound to touch on space age travel again at some time.
Oh, this will be coming out.
Yeah, definitely.
Tax deductible.
I know the Australians it's their turn to want to put a man in orbit now. The Australians are saying they want to have a go.
But they're starting from the wrong side of Earth, aren't they?
They get further to go, isn't it? Yeah, they have to go right the way through the middle of Earth first of all to get
all the way around.
To get some added on, isn't it? Added on.
It's probably a further trip, so they're probably, I don't know, more air miles.
Possibly. On the subject of hairstyles and acid perms and things like this, let's just delve back into 1980s TV ad land for this one.
It's the mystery sound of the 80s.
When I say delve back into TV ad land, what I meant was the mystery sound of the 80s.
Yeah, let's do the mystery sound.
Just a recap of this week's one, then we'll delve into
We'll do some adverts afterwards,
We'll do some adverts afterwards.
Yeah. Can we do the mystery sound?
Nothing like planning a show, is there? So this is the current mystery sound. So if you know what that is, do let us know. Comment on YouTube.
Yes.
And we'll pick one of the correct commented answers.
Yeah.
And let you know in the next edition, which I think is going to be edition number 6 or 17 or something like that. But we're still cracking on with it. Anyway, would you like to see a TV advert now?
We've got adverts now,
1980.
Let's watch some adverts.
Here comes an advert.
Now that girl's wearing Harmony hairspray.
She's never wearing hairspray.
See? She's wearing Harmony hairspray.
But she couldn't be wearing hairspray.
Well, why didn't you ask her? Excuse me, new Harmony hairspray for soft hair. Harmony hairspray.
Perhaps you should have asked the driver. Harmony hairspray. Now for soft hair too. A gentle hairspray at a gentle price.
She can't be wearing hairspray.
She can't be, because it was just looked too natural.
Look, it wasn't bloody moving. It seems like she was wearing a crash helmet. What the bloody hell are they talking about?
That was in the days when you could spray hairspray, and the ozone layer hadn't even been invented. Maybe this is why we were, as kids, get burnt to a crisp on our days out at the beach. It's all beginning to make sense now.
So she uses so much hairspray, she's got to leave it at the top of a basket.
That's why she didn't have a helmet, because she didn't need one.
It was solid.
Absolutely solid as a rock. But I like the way that it was absolutely fine for the taxi driver to give her a wolf whistle as she was on her way, because that was just accepted.
Flattering.
She was pleased to have it.
Yeah, I got a few wolf whistles when I walked in wearing this, actually, Andy. But I'm not going back with him. He doesn't float my boat, I'm afraid. He had too much hairspray on. But hairspray was a thing, wasn't it? What was that gold? There was a golden can, very tall golden can, golden metallic, and my granny was a hairdresser in the sort of 40s, and she always cut my hair in the 80s, 70s and 80s. And she always had this long gold. It's still in the shops now, and it's irrelevant to us, of course. We don't know what hairspray is, but it was always very popular. People listening and watching now will be like, I know what that is.
I can actually see it, but I can't quite make out what the words are.
No, it has some black print and some black design on it, but it's mostly shiny gold and about a foot tall. And maybe I've just seen something very similar on my wife's bedside table, and I'm getting very confused with hairspray. But whatever it is, it's golden and it's long and it's shiny, and she uses it every morning and every evening, and her head doesn't move. What? So I mean, what's the? I don't understand the benefit of that. What is the benefit of having hair sprayed to your head so solidly? I guess, but don't go on a bloody bike. Get her in the cab. If she's worried about her hair, invite her in the cab. Mind you wouldn't, would you, with the wolf whistling morons that just wind the window down? What, darling? Wow. Yeah,
that was the thing, though, as well. And I know we often touch on the fact that most of the 80s was fantastic, and we do want to bring it back. Little tiny bits of the 80s can stay where they are. Because if you imagine that girl walking past a building site in the 1980s, that could have been quite a different story.
Traumatic.
Yeah.
I mean, none of them would have been wearing a top hat like he was in that. And probably, to be honest with them, most of them would have just been in shorts, no top, some sort of heavy toe-capped boots, and no vest, no top, no high
Certainly
vis.
no high vis, no high
helmet.
None of that had been health and safety had not been invented. I would have liked to actually seen their reaction if you were to walk past their building site, James, dressed as you are at the moment, because I would think that would be quite entertaining.
Yeah, I wouldn't be safe either, I don't think, but for a different reason. But they'd want me. And they'd want this outfit, because we could all agree this is mightily attractive.
It is certainly something, James. certainly something to behold.
Yeah, well, you can hold it.
Just in case you are just listening to this bit on your podcast app, because we're all about the YouTube now as well. I just want to describe for those of you who are not aware, it is a full shell suit. Yes, of course, like a hazmat suit, but in the brightest possible blue and pink and purple colours imaginable.
And white cuffs on the legs, and don't forget you got this on the knees, because you've got to have them on the knees when
because
I go
when you're spinning on your break
my break dancing and my break boxing, my body boobing. We know all the lingo. Don't you test us. That's why I've got Pepsi today instead of just water. Regular viewers will know, because I need the energy for me dancing and me worm.
Did you take the Pepsi challenge?
What's that?
That was the Pepsi challenge.
Between the Coke and
between
Pepsi.
the Coke and the Pepsi. Yeah, that was
I
a
can
big
tell
thing.
the difference
Yeah.
because they are different. And if you can't tell, you're weird. But it's So I've got it all going on, and there's a zip at the front, so I can reveal Max Headroom, who was obviously a style icon of the day, with these weird sort of squared off Ray-Ban shades that he wore and his gelled brill creamed blonde hair. But yeah, that was actually an actor. Did you know that? That was actually an actor who did
It wasn't
that.
a real computer
It wasn't
thing.
computer
Wasn't
generated.
Are you
No.
joking?
No, I'm not.
I thought there was
For
me
once.
thinking their CGI was so advanced.
Amazing. I know. And he's still
time.
about. He's been in other things, but he's not doing Max Headroom. I did inquire. I said, do you want to make an appearance? And he went, no. Good impression. It's like he was in the room. Anyway, I'm going to cover this back up.
The sighs of
It's like
disappointment.
getting back into a sleeping bag. Did you hear that? Do you know all those haunting days of being in a tent in the middle of winter? You're like, come on, let's go for a wee. Get back in the tent.
I'm just thinking that would be another if you were camping in America or something in bear country, and obviously you're always worried about bears coming into the tent.
Yeah.
When as soon as the bear opens the tent and sees you there, that bear would be scared off.
It's health and safety more than anything.
Yes.
This outfit stops people wanting to approach me and bears.
On the subject of health and safety, we were just saying that there was no such thing as health and safety in those days. If you were riding a bike as a kid, never did you have to wear any kind of protective clothing whatsoever.
I tell you what, there was a thing though when you rode a bike was those trouser clips. You always put those around
to
your
stop
ankle.
to stop your chain to get caught up in the chain.
And
yes.
for fashion purposes, I had reflective ones. So I had reflective trouser clips.
Were they the yellow ones?
Yes,
the bright yellow ones. Yeah.
So if you can't see the lights, because you didn't have to have lights on your bike, then you could see these moving up and down lines of yellow. So that saved you from lorries, vans, wolf whistling at you. But yeah, that was the thing. And you always sometimes you just wear it on one leg on your bike, wouldn't you? Because that's the side with the oil and the
chain side. Yeah.
Or you'd have it on both if you were super safe.
If you forgot to bring your special clips as well, though, of course, you could just tuck your trousers into your socks.
Well, that's winging it, isn't it?
Which is an equally good way. Do you remember, on the subject of bicycling as well, do you remember how bad the lights on bikes used to be?
Yeah.
If you did actually have a light on the front of your bike, it was like a thing that it would literally flicker like
it wasn't
a candle.
Powered, was it? It was running on a dynamo usually. That
The
was
faster
attached
you
to the
went.
wheel. Yeah. So if you were careering out of control, everyone could see it. But if you were tootling along through the streets at 11 p.m. Drunk, then you could barely see anything.
Yeah.
And that's when you really needed it to be bright. And then they brought out batteries for it. It was revolutionary. It's the future.
I do remember actually having a really bad accident. I don't know whether I related this story on my bike. When in those days, kids were allowed to play out as long as you liked, wherever you liked. Nobody cared where you were. Nobody had anywhere contacting you because there were no phones. There was absolutely nothing whatsoever. And I remember actually having had a really nasty crash on my bike and being concussed, and then going home and literally keeling over with proper concussion.
Wow.
And being from a nice middle class family, the most important thing was to get me in the bath and washed, to take me to hospital so I'd be clean.
Oh yes.
To go to hospital.
Yes.
That is a true story. My mum actually made sure that I was washed before we went to the hospital. Clean pants and everything. Because they wanted to know, it was obviously very important to know that I was from a good family at the hospital.
Didn't give you a crash helmet.
Give me a crash helmet.
No sort of cycling helmet at all. Because they were available, but obviously it wasn't
cool to wear one.
Wasn't cool at all.
No.
I mean, you might get the odd skateboarder in their fashion clothes where they and back in the 80s, if you watch some skateboarders, actually they did have the knee pads, and they did have sometimes elbow pads. They did have a helmet, and not obviously the ones going through America, but if you go and see videos and stuff of them, every now and again you would see them with proper high boots and some knee pads and stuff, and long high socks and things. The cool skateboarders. So that was quite a trendy thing, and obviously the Blazers or Converse or something. So but skateboarders had their own fashions, didn't they, as well? But yeah, sometimes they wear helmets, but not if you were cycling through the streets on your BMX or your grifter.
No, it just was not needed. Just not necessary. I've just had another horrible flashback to one of my weird fashion times and one of my weird things as a kid, and that was when everybody else was skateboarding. Yeah, I was into roller skating. Yeah, that was the thing as well. We'd go down the roller disco.
Yeah, with the rainbow, with the blue roller skates with the rainbow down the side in yellow, red, and white. Do you remember those? And then in the late 80s, I brought out the Bowers and the cool inline skates and all these cool things.
Yeah, because I don't know, inline skating is the thing now. But in those days, we used to have a wheel on each corner.
That's right, and a stopper at the front, like a rubber.
Yeah, because you needed to be able to stop in some description, didn't you? Some way.
And how you do want to stop is put your toes down and fly face first across the pavement. That's the best way. I was atrocious.
Yeah,
I was good at skateboard. Well, okay at skateboarding. Christ, on roller skates, it was the worst. I mean, I needed to wear this. People needed to see me coming because it wasn't voluntary. I was being taken along by these wicked, evil devices on my feet. I mean, some of them, if you were younger and you maybe couldn't afford the blue suede, mildly fashionable, trendy ones, you got these metal things that you put your feet on with straps like sandals over the top of your shoes.
Yeah, your school shoes.
And it was like some sort of disability aid. They were just horrible, unhelpful, nasty things, weren't comfortable, and you felt like you were definitely setting yourself up for damage because they were so unruly, nasty, solid things strapped to your feet. You thought, really? I'm going out like this, Mum? And she'd push you down the stairs. Off you go, get out. I've got stuff to do.
They were the ones that would always sort of half come off and make you twist your ankle properly, wouldn't they?
Yes.
Proper ankle twisters.
That's right. The strap would come undone and then your toe would lift up and your heel still in it. You'd go splits. Yeah, you shouldn't have been on the swings in the first place, to be honest. But those skate. Oh, yeah, God.
Health and safety. And safety was not a thing. And of course, if you were skating down to the park or whatever, you'd be off to the climbing frames with no hint of a soft ground to catch you underneath. It was scaffold poles and hard concrete
and steel, waiting for your chin. That's all it was, where concrete meets face. And there was always some rumour about kid died on that. And or somebody, and you'd be like, "Oh God, I better not go down that slide on my roller skates again." Then that's what you'd walk into a playground and be like, "What's happening?" And the kids just flying off in different directions. Oh, good, it's the witch's hat. Off he goes. Yeah, just cuts and different. It was like a scene out of Casualty. Just kids having different cuts and things, and no health and safety.
No health and safety whatsoever. No. So as we said, no high vis. I mean, high vis would have been actually quite a good thing to go clubbing, something. But something like that, you're pretty much there with your high vis shell suit on. There.
I mean, I think a lot of glowing and fluorescent colours did come in the late 80s with Acid House and stuff, didn't they? So everyone was wearing glowing vests and face paint and whistles and fingerless gloves and all this sort of stuff. But you wouldn't have seen that on top of the pops in the early 80s. No. They were all wearing greys and beiges and face makeup and blonde hair and beige and like these geezers here. Look, you've got this sort of thing going on. You've got the flat caps. Look at this Motley Crue. It's not Motley Crue. Is that Heaven 17?
It actually says, if you turn it around, it actually says
Joe Boxers.
Joe Boxers.
Yeah, of course.
Boxer beat.
Yeah, of course. And look at that geezer, Tony Hadley.
Who's that? Oh my God.
Dressed just like, I think we could all agree, Max Headroom. Yes, he wasn't Max Headroom, but look at that. That is the centre spread. And that is a centre spread that looks, oh my God, who is it? It's not even been opened. It's just some washed denim. But it does open up, but it's never been opened, so I'm not opening it.
Mind those staples.
Look at that hair.
Take off the value of that.
Is that what you had?
Is that
yeah.
That kind of colour, but in streaks, blonde streaks.
Yeah, I mean,
you can imagine blonde streaks in a shaggy perm.
Look at these geezers. I don't know who they are, but they look like they've just come out of the computer room.
They do.
These aren't pop stars. This is from Smash Hits. They're just like, and these Joe Boxers on the front, they've just cleaned your windows. Yes. I don't know what they're doing here, but this is fashion. This is fashion, you see, from the 80s. So iconic, but so varied. Look at these. Look, Wham. Someone's stolen the t-shirts. They just said, "Well, just chuck these leather jackets.
Just wear a leather jacket over your skin."
And if you could look a little bit sweaty, that would be nice. Yeah. I mean, look at that, sweaty boys in leather.
Who'd have thought?
Well, that was my favourite band of the 80s. That's what they were called. That's what Jimmy Savile introduced on Top of the Pops. Sweaty boys.
That's your favourite website, Jake. On that note, I think we need to move to another TV advert.
I think we probably do.
So who knows? Maybe it'll be a lunchbox surprise. Whoever knows the way today's been going.
Dice.
Here we go.
They fit perfectly.
Oh, it's leather.
They look nice. She looks like a proper little princess. Princess, help us! The witch of the forest has stolen the daylight. Climb up and release the sun from the witch's cave.
I can't climb.
Yes, you can. Just trust your magic shoes.
Magic shoes?
Wait! The key, Princess!
Well, what do you think?
What? Oh, they're fantastic.
Okay, well, I better take those. Right.
Clark's magic steps. Shoes fit for a princess.
Yeah, this is the start of drugs, isn't it? This is when they really started getting into ketamine and all the ecstasy, because that is just batshit mental. $15.99 for a pair of shoes back then. Yeah. I mean, that's almost £100 equivalent, and you're just going in to get some shoes.
Yeah,
you know.
I scoured the internet for hours and hours. I might have got sidetracked a couple of times, but I did scour the internet looking for a shot of one of those things that you would put your feet into in the Clark's things. And as a young child, always very scary because you just thought those machines that you'd put your foot into it and the sides had come in and then the ends had come in and it would magically then know the right size shoes for you. But as a child, it's almost like child abuse because you always thought it was going to, I always
crush
thought
your feet.
It was going to crush your feet.
Of course you did. And he stood on it and he'll go, it was basically a photocopier, wasn't it? And as you got a bit older, you put your arse on it. Not on the one in Clark's. I was never allowed back. But no, my shoes never fitted. But I think it's true. And it would make that vibrating noise and the woman would have to be down by your feet. You know, when you're a 13-year-old boy and there's this shop lady crouching
bending
around
over,
you
and
doing all sorts around your feet and your legs and moving your... It's not great. But shoes were so... I mean, Clark's mental prices.
Maybe that was they had to justify the prices by having this big special machine.
Oh, I thought you were going to say a stupid drug-induced advert. I mean, that was just nonsense. What were they going about?
They were selling the sizzle, not the shoes there, weren't they? They were selling,
I'm like a princess. Why? They're just white sandals. There's nothing fancy. There's nothing in them. There's nothing. As Clark's got further into the 90s and 2000s, they started putting toys in them to justify £50 a pair.
Oh, yeah, you used to have a little thing for the boys' shoes. This is coming back. You used to have a little compass in the heel.
Yeah, something.
Now, that's not a thing anymore, is it?
They don't put anything in anything anymore. Nothing in cereal, nothing in shoes. Bring back the 80s. But I mean, Clark's was the only place you ever went.
Yeah.
School shoes, every term or every year, whatever it was, you rock up, you get your feet measured, and if you were lucky, they had the machine. And if you were unlucky, they just had that bloody awful thing that you put a strap round, a little tape measure around your
always
feet.
A disappointment.
Just like, God, I wanted them measured by robots. And just stand still, don't move. You haven't grown. I must have done. I want new shoes. That sort of thing always happened. But Clark's was the place you queued and got your feet measured.
And it's strange as well, though, that those shoes that you would have meticulously measured would only fit you for a few weeks.
Oh, no.
Because obviously, as kids, as teenagers, obviously your feet are going to grow.
Yeah.
But it was an annual thing, or at least in my house, it was an annual thing.
Squashed
to
your
go
feet
and go and get your feet measured.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it felt quite cool to have nice new shoes, didn't it? But I don't think I got any shoes other than school shoes from Clark's, because you had to be super rich to buy all your shoes from Clark's. But we just get your Green Flash or your Gola or something to wear outside of school. And then maybe in the 80s Reebok Classics. And did I mention okay.
There was also the argument about how many stripes on your Adidas or Adidas.
Yeah,
because we
called it Adidas.
Adidas,
but now they call it Adidas.
Adidas, yeah,
because we called it Nike as well, didn't we?
Yeah, it's Nike now. Yeah,
it is.
But there was a whole argument over which was the correct number of stripes to have. On your Adidas.
Yes.
Some with 3, some with 2. You had, if you went into school with a bag that was Adidas branded, but you had the wrong number of stripes.
Yeah.
That was terrible news.
Stupid.
Yeah,
you got the wrong ones. What?
Who made the rules though?
Yeah, who was it? I know. I only want one stripe. So it looks better with one. You got it off the market again, didn't you? No.
I remember buying some branded jeans, Calvin Klein's.
Oh, yes.
Kevin Klein's.
Oh, dear.
Kevin Klein's.
Brilliant.
Not fooling anybody.
The good old days, you could get knockoff stuff on the market and they didn't get done for it.
Yeah, now you have to go on Amazon, don't you?
You have to really hunt for your illegal booty. Oh dear, which is what mine feels like in this. Actually, shouldn't be allowed. But yeah, good old Clark's, blimey.
So online shopping obviously was not a thing. You couldn't go on Amazon to get your Chinese knockoffs.
No.
But we did mention catalogue shopping as well.
Yeah.
But I'd completely forgotten that one of the big catalogues was also a bricks and mortar store as well. This one.
See you soon.
See you soon. That sounded threatening, doesn't it?
It's like what were the adverts we were talking about the other day? Call us for a test drive tomorrow.
Yeah. See you soon.
See you soon.
It sounds like a high street assassin.
They
Just like, see you soon.
Didn't they do their best though with the production on that to make it a bit glitzy and a bit glamorous?
I suppose. I didn't know that Littlewoods did food though.
Well, it was obviously like a big. I don't remember Littlewoods ever doing food.
No.
I don't remember being able to go in and buy food.
No.
But I do remember thumbing through the catalogue and looking obviously towards the underwear section.
Oh, I didn't do that.
Yeah, did you never?
I do. Littlewoods is where you went for your pants. That's what I remember as a young kid. Would go and beat your 3-pack of white Y-fronts for school. And not they didn't have to be white Y-fronts for school. The PE teacher didn't insist. But on your white vests and all that sort of stuff. But that one woman who just appeared there after the guy in the turtleneck sweater, trying to look like Bond, wearing a beret. They were quite trendy in the 80s, weren't they? Girls with berets, and it could be the younger ones, or I suppose it's the equivalent of the flat cap that Joe Boxers were wearing on that magazine. But girls wearing them, maybe with some dungarees or something. Or older ladies would wear sort of a beret with a brooch on the front. It was, do you know what I mean? I don't know what that made them look like. They were in the parachute regiment, didn't it? A beret and a brooch on Her Majesty's service. But yeah.
You've just reminded me as well with going into Littlewoods for your 3-pack of white Y-fronts.
Yes.
Obviously, if they were properly white, it was good for those days when you went to school to do PE.
Yeah.
But you'd forgotten your kit.
Yeah.
Because in those days, if you forgot your kit, you just did it in your pants.
In your pants, like Rolly from Grange Hill. So yes, you had to. The ultimate fashion faux pas, forgetting your kit, and if you couldn't find anything in lost property that you wanted to wear, you're doing it in your pants and vest. And
you never made that. You never forgot it twice, though, did you?
Well, sometimes I took in my PE kit and my PE teacher still made me do it in my pants and vest. I never really realised why. It was like, why? And why are we in your lounge? I'm not really sure. This doesn't seem like a PE lesson to me, sir. It's a Sunday. But it was it didn't happen. It might have done, but don't report him. Nice guy, bless him. But yes, he's no longer with us. He's in prison. He's not. He passed away, bless him. But he wasn't that bad. But they were all PE teachers were always dicks, weren't they? Sorry, we're digressing from fashion slightly.
No, but that was the thing, though, weren't they?
Yeah.
The PE, as we mentioned in a previous episode, PE teachers did tend to have that little sadistic streak, and if there was a way they were going to make you do your PE in your pants or whatever, they would find a way to do that.
One thing, though, I don't know if you found this with school, is that with fashion, the odd kid would try and sneak it in, and I think discipline was a lot stricter in schools back then. So you would have to you'd have parameters to keep within for shoes or for tracksuits and stuff. So we had to have a particular school tracksuit or black plain tracksuit bottoms or black plain sweater or something. But the odd kid would turn up and they'd have a little Nike swoosh or they'd have something fancy across it or a graphic or like, get that off, Alderson, detention. And but that was always the thing to try and show that you were cool and you were from a cool family or a rich family. You'd wore Nike
push it as
Not
far as you
plimsolls.
could push it.
Yeah.
Or you have your hair just slightly too long compared to what it was supposed to be.
Yeah, girls had the skirts a bit shorter, boys had the skirts a bit short. No, but you know, different styles you weren't allowed.
Different ways of tying your tie as well.
Yeah.
Where you could, there was a fashion for a while just to have the tiniest little bit of tie hanging down and a great big fat tie knot.
Oh, okay.
There.
Yes. Yes, I remember that. I remember. And then it became the fashion to give everyone what they called a peanut, which was you'd pull it really hard so they would go tiny, and then you couldn't get the bloody thing off. You're like, Alderson, sort your tie out. I can't. It's just too tight. Why are you messing about with it? It's strangling me. But fashion tried to creep in, didn't it? Aside from haircuts, tried to creep in. People would wear fashionable things to school, even the sort of little bands and beads and little necklaces and dangly big earrings and loop earrings and all these.
Never allowed at that school.
But you would get them sneaking in, and I went to an all-boys school. But they would try and sneak in little things and get told off. But it was always the best way to express yourself.
St. Christopher's chain was the only other thing that you were allowed to have that was jewellery-like, wasn't it?
Right,
you always had to have your St. Christopher's for protection.
Of course, yes, on your journey through past the builders on scaffolding. Whistling at you in your PE kit. No. But yes, it's so school is where it all started, wasn't it? The fashions creeping in, and then you got your Smash Hits magazines and your Look-ins and your Just 17s and got all your trends from there. But from these, I don't know.
Yeah.
Looking back at it now, I thought I didn't wear any of that. Certainly wasn't sweating in a leather jacket.
What I'm looking forward to is, now we've nearly come to the end of this episode as well, is I think as a double dare, you should drive home in that.
Yeah.
And if you get pulled over, I would love to see the video of you being
I'll do a
pulled
selfie
over.
with a policeman.
Yeah.
Okay. They'll probably get me on some sort of building site working, because I've got all the high-vis clothes on, so that'll be my community service.
Got everything you need.
They'll be like, you're driving in this, it's a death threat, a death wish driving in this, it's really blinding all the other drivers, come with us and work on a building site.
And on that happy thought, let us say thank you for watching this kind of extra episode.
Yeah.
We thought we'd try and do it like a weekly episode for a while and see how that goes. So
people were always saying, I can't wait 2 weeks, James, to see you again. And my wife doesn't say that, but everybody watching says, James and Andy, why are you doing it every fortnight? And we thought, we're doing such long episodes now. Let's break them down into 2 30 to 40 minute chunks, make it easier. And to be honest, a lot of joggers listen to us.
Yeah.
And I think they normally only run for 25 minutes.
So that's plenty.
I know,
plenty,
this is ample. You've got enough time to listen to us in the shower.
If you haven't discovered us yet as well on YouTube, that is where we are. And if you've heard us talking about the clothes that James is wearing now, if you go and watch the YouTube episode now, even in your wildest imagination, you're not going to be disappointed. Not going to be disappointed.
I know, and if you're bored, then I can just put this on loop. I can make a GIF out of this if you want, where I just reveal Max Headroom and open it. That noise, when people hear that noise now, they'll be thinking of me.
And on that note, James,
a fly opening.
Can we just say, if you've enjoyed this episode, please share it with one other person.
Yeah.
Because if you liked it, chances are somebody you know is going to have a similar sense of humour to you. We'll be back in another week's time with episode 752.
You got it.
So, and we'll see you next Tuesday. Thanks for watching and listening. Thanks for listening to this week's edition. We'd love it if you could subscribe in your favourite podcast app. And don't forget, there's a video version on YouTube too. You can contact us using the links in the show notes and on the YouTube channel. And we'll see you next time for another edition of Bring Back the 80s.